Hey guys, Caroline Fitzsimmons here with Caroline Fitzsimmons Coaching, and I want to challenge you guys on this today. I want you to think about this. What do these following tasks have in common? Making a grocery list and going shopping, using a thesaurus or a dictionary to look up a word, using a phone book to look up a dictionary or contact, using the Dewey Decimal System to look up and find a book, using tokens at a video arcade to play games, and then collecting your tickets to trade it in for something to redeem it, using cash to buy something, balancing a checkbook, using a map to find your destination and get there. These all require executive function skills, which are a group of mental processes that help you to attain a goal. Things like problem solving, impulse control, sustained attention, cognitive flexibility. So being able to think outside of the box maybe, or think of things differently. Emotional regulation, that's a big one. So all of these things are tasks that have been replaced or almost obsolete, not at all in all situations, but obsolete because of our modern day conveniences, which I love. I love having my phone to not even use GPS, but use Siri to get GPS for me to get somewhere, or to Google a word quickly, or to find a contact quickly. All of those things have been replaced by my phone. And you look at cash and checkbooks, those have been replaced by credit cards, debit cards, even services like Venmo or PayPal. And also consider the next time you're at the store or restaurant, look around. What are people doing? What are kids doing? They are probably waiting in line or waiting at their table for their food on an iPhone or an iPad, and their attention is used up on that. And so think about how hard it is these days to even wait on something without needing stimulation. And I say that for myself as well. Just this week, I was stuck in traffic for 2 hours, and I found myself on the same stretch of road and getting very frustrated and bored and reaching for my phone every 2 minutes. So that goes for everyone, and I'm just as guilty. So I want to share about my boys' arcade experience recently. So I took them to the arcade, and these days they don't use tokens anymore for the arcades we've been to. They use cards. So you insert the card into the game you want to play, you play the game, and when the time runs out, then you have to use the card for another game. So they kept running back to me every few minutes, running out of money and wanting more. And I finally just kind of got frustrated. But during that frustration, I also realized that of course they would be running back to me because the debit card or the card that they had did not give them a concrete way to measure how much money they were using up in real time. So back when I was a kid playing our video arcade games, we would have a stack of coins. We would use it up. We would be able to see how much we were using. We would be able to pace the use. We would prioritize what games we wanted to play with to make sure we didn't run out of money. And so all of these uh, observations, they were not able to have that same awareness because they were not able to see this in a tangible way. And so it really just made me think about all the ways that are in daily life, our kids miss out on these opportunities. And yet, when we really pay attention and we're intentional, we can provide opportunities to build these same skills. We can even manufacture some of these opportunities to work on those skills. And so parents come to me a lot and they're frustrated about things like my kid not being able to sit still for any given amount of time, or they're defiant, they don't want to do their homework. And sometimes this leads to the wrong perception of our kid, whether they're lazy, whether they are defiant, manipulative, controlling. All of those things require us to have cognitive flexibility as well, because we need to choose to see those behaviors differently in order to work on them differently and more effectively. In fact, the more accurate and positive we can view these behaviors, especially from a lens of understanding and empathy, the more our children will be able to pick up on that and be more willing to collaborate, to work on those skills, because then there's less shame and more connection through empathy. So something like well, one skill that we need to work on, I work on a lot with kids and families is emotional regulation. So these families are sharing things like, my kid is losing it at seemingly very small things, or they're having a hard time just recovering. They'll have 45-minute long tantrums, or they will resist anything new, or even things that they might want that are new and different to them. They may be very resistant to trying out things out of their comfort zone. And so this is so important. Our kids need to feel capable. They need to feel confident before we can require or ask them to step into a task. Otherwise, they can very quickly lose confidence in themselves. So a lot of times we can inadvertently worsen or exacerbate these challenges by expecting immediate compliance. Do things the first time. Do things the first time I ask, as I say. And what we fail to realize is sometimes, or a lot of times, there are skill gaps in these situations where our kids are not yet able to meet the demand for one reason or another. Maybe their processing speed is a little bit slower and they need more time to process the direction you just gave them, especially if we're giving them multiple step directions. Maybe we need to break it down to a single step direction. Maybe we need to give them a visual cue instead of a verbal one repeatedly. So emotional regulation is complex. It starts not just with your child, but with you and your child. So a good example of this is something I've read here that implied before there's a me, there's a we. We meaning the parent and child, or caregiver and child. There has to be a co-regulation, a attuning to your child's needs at the most basic level, and before there's a sense of capability and confidence. Your child has to sense that you see them and hear them before they can attune to their own needs, and that's emotionally or physically. So, like I said before, if we want our kids to behave differently, we have to view their behaviors differently. And that comes from, again, our own emotional regulation and cognitive flexibility. And so I challenge you with this. You can pick any of these tasks or activities. You can come up with your own using this as examples. And these work on executive function skills, but most importantly, they work on connection and attunement between you and your child. So thinking outside of the box, plan a date together. It could be outside of the home, inside. You can plan a meal together and cook it together. You can plan a cook-off and compete with one another, because kids with ADHD tend to love competition, novelty, sense of urgency even. Maybe you can have a timed cook-off. You can also play tons of board games, Monopoly, uh, Guess Who, headbands, uh, throw burrito. All of those are such great opportunities for working on those skills. They require impulse control and waiting for the other person to take their turn, cognitive flexibility, problem solving, planning, um, executing your plan, all of those, and also doing it in a fun way. Ask open-ended questions. Be willing to scaffold and allow your kids to make mistakes or take more time to do something versus overhelping. So in that, I urge you to focus on the process and not the outcome of homework, outcome of a chore being done, whatever that may be. And then also scaffold those. Your child's not going to be able to jump into an activity for the first time and do it all by themselves. And break it down, make the first step the easiest one, because task initiation is another very challenging executive function skills for many of us, especially our kids who are learning something that's challenging for them. And then lastly, I urge you to just reach out. If any of this speaks to you, I'd like you to reach out about our next cohort that we are starting soon. If you'd like to learn more on how to help your kids with these skills, learn how to manage their emotions, learn how to meet the demands of day-to-day tasks, whether it's school, chores, and then lastly, how to truly connect and how to enrich your relationship with your child. This impacts not just you and your child, but the entire family, and then also their children in the future and generations to come. And so this is such impactful work that we get to do, and I'm really thrilled that I get to do this again. So please reach out, CarolineFitzsimmonsCoaching.com, or just feel free to DM me here.